to win the Vezina Trophy. He could win the Hart Trophy. I would have spent the last 48 hours just filling his head with all positive thoughts about how good he is, how good he's been, and how good he can be for Winnipeg tonight.
I would agree with that. The other thing is, if he's able to overcome all these obstacles that are in his way right now, this is a moment he'll remember forever, and he'll draw upon this Game 7 if he's able to win it, because this is under such duress right now. And like you said, Elliot, this is a big moment in his career.
I've played in a couple of these types of series where they go to Game 7, and one in particular that was a home winner all the way to Game 7. We're not going to talk about that. But the other one was against Dallas in 2007, Vancouver against Dallas. Marty Turco ended up losing the series in Game 7, but he had 3 shutouts. So the 3 wins that they had against us were all shutouts. That being said, he didn't get pulled in the other games. He still played well. But there is the opportunity for Hellebuyck to have, a bad game in Game 6 and then come back and shut the door. That can happen.
We agree then. Listening to what you're all saying, this is a legacy game. This isn't just a win-loss. And this is sort of the narrative of what his career will be viewed as, right?
It wouldn't be this situation had the last 2 playoffs gone well, but they haven't. And so you're looking at potentially 3 poor playoffs in a row. That's why we're focusing so much on this.
So I don't obviously know the position as instinctively well as Kelly does. I was just sending some notes out to some other goalies. What do you see? What have you noticed? And, one of them just said, one of the things he just thinks is important for Hellebuyck is on the 4-1 goal here. And there's 5 guys in front of him between him and the shooter. And the one thing he was a little nervous about was, he said, when you're screened, you pick a spot and you stay there. You make yourself as big as possible. And what concerned him was that Hellebuyck was moving backwards. He said that was the sign of a goaltender that wasn't as confident in what he does, what he's been taught. He said that that's the thing. If you're when you're confident, even if you can't see the puck, you say, I'm standing here and it's got to beat me as big as I can. And that's one thing he said, that if he could tell Hellebuyck, that's what he'd tell him.
I don't know if I
Game
necessarily
7.
agree with you.
You know what? If you keep going backwards, you'll be back in California, and that's good for the show.
Allegedly.
So that's interesting. That is something to keep an eye on, where he stands. And again, a lot of it, as you guys say, it's not a physical thing as much as it's a mental thing. The other side of the ledger, we'll call him Big Game Binnington, because quite frankly, that is his legacy right now. We saw it at the Four Nations. Clearly, we've seen it at the Stanley Cup Final. In fact, in winner take all. So that includes 2 Game 7s as well as the Four Nations Final. He's a perfect 3-0 with a 1.12 goals against, the .938 save percentage. What do you guys make of Jordan Binnington and really the legacy that he's building game by game?
I'll try to add to that, Dave. He just did his whole resume and his whole NHL career. But you go back to the Stanley Cup Final in 2019. Yeah, he won some big games, obviously, in that playoffs. He ends up winning the ultimate, the Stanley Cup. But that's 6 years ago. That fades over time. So what's more impressive and at the forefront is this Four Nations. And this is the way he started the game. Sharp with the puck, handling it well, engaged. And that's a good sign for your goaltender for those reasons. You know that he's into it. Yeah, that wasn't the cleanest, but it all led to this, the saves in overtime. And he's another guy. He's not just going to give you any freebies. He's going to battle for everything. He ended up getting the win. We all know the story there. So that's maybe more at the center here for him, is he's got the confidence of February, of winning this big game against, obviously, Connor Hellebuyck at the other end. So he's got to feel good. He's on the road here. He's got nothing to prove, really. He's already kind of won. He's in a good situation, I think, Kel, mentally.
Well, and he looks relaxed. So you look at Binnington and his body of work over the years. You start back in 2019. He was brash, right? So, and you know what? He really rubbed people the wrong way. I love his laser-like focus right now. Before last game, he had what I thought, he had a tougher first 30 minutes than Hellebuyck. I thought Winnipeg really played well in the first 30 minutes of the last game. So Binnington was a big part of that victory. And he's changed. His personality has changed. How talk about this, about moving the puck. He was tremendous in last game, as you mentioned, Kev. But the one thing about him, he's a veteran now, and he behaves like a veteran. Remember his first 2 years, he's trying to fight everybody. And even his coach back then, Craig Berube, said basically, knock it off, just focus on stopping the pucks. And that's where he is today in his world.
The thing about Binnington is he could give up 14 goals, and he still thinks he's going to win the next game. His confidence is unshakable. His belief is unshakable. And I think the Blues know that. I think that's what we're looking at tonight. We're looking at a goaltender right here in your screen who no matter what has happened to him, he thinks he's going to win. And at the other end of the ice, we're dealing with a guy who's battling to show that he can win.
And the team scoring first, I'm sure both these goalies would love a lead. 31-15, that's 67% winning percentage. So, again, that first goal will be key at Canada Life Centre. Let's get you back ice level. Scott Oake with the Jets captain, Adam Lowry.
Adam, of all the things you have to do to advance tonight, where does limiting traffic in front of Connor Hellebuyck rank?
Well, I think the traffic, it comes down to our defensive structure, making it hard to get to the inside and boxing out around Helly. Helly's an unbelievable goalie, and, you know, he's going to make the saves he can see. So, you know, the strength of our team all year has been our defensive structure. I expect that to be the case tonight.
It gets no bigger than Game 7s, and this is the first one ever in this building. What kind of reception do you anticipate?
You know, I think it'll be similar to the first playoff game since they came back. You know, we have an unbelievable crowd. We feed off the energy, and really looking forward to it tonight.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Scott.
Very businesslike
I like
there.
that.
That's relaxed.
Yeah,
Very
I like that a
businesslike.
lot.
But he was almost matter of fact. Yeah, we got to get the traffic away from Hellebuyck and go back to the things that made us successful. All right, so this is, listen, President Trophy, it's the first time the Jets have won it, but this isn't a unique situation. A President Trophy winning team in the first round facing elimination in the Game 7. Kev, you should speak to this because you were there back in 2011 in the first round.
Yeah, it was a true 1 versus 8 seed back then. So we won the President's Trophy, and we got Chicago, the Stanley Cup defending champion, which weren't really thrilled about that. But up 3-0 in the series in total control, and all of a sudden we're in overtime of Game 7. And I always say this, it was the least fun hockey game I had ever played in because I just wanted to like snap my fingers and for the game to be over and us to win. And this is, we're up 1-0 most of the game. This is shorthanded with 2 minutes left. Taves goes down. We got Hamhuis and I had great years defensively, and like I would have put money on that they weren't going to tie that, but they did. We go to overtime, probably like the most important intermission of our careers because we all knew if we didn't win that one, we were all probably going to get traded and they were going to sell the farm. But it was just everything was about who wants to be the hero. Everything was like building towards who wants to be the guy. It wasn't like, oh my God, we're going to lose. It was who wants to be the hero. Like this celebration's going to be, it was all like foreshadowing, like thinking about the end result being positive.
And what was Luongo like in the dressing room?
Same thing. I think he was very confident too, and everyone was engaged about joking around. Like, is it you, Kel? Is it you, Ellie? Is it you, Dave? Like, who's going to be the hero?
He had some struggles going into finishing off.
He got pulled also, I think, in Game 6, and then he had to go back in because Schneider got hurt in the shootout. So it was a lot of back and forth with our goaltending as well, but came through in the clutch.
On a penalty shot, not a shootout. In
Same
playoffs,
thing.
right?
Yeah, for a league.
You know, the thing about that, Kevin, is I'm amazed at before how many big games are overtimes. It always seems to be the coaches say or the players say, who were you in road hockey when you scored the big goal or you made the big save? Like, it's always positive reinforcement.
100%.
Always. It's never negative.
Elliot, every single time I played a game, Game 7, I played 4 like you, Kev. I always reverted back to when I was stretching before the game. I reverted back to like playing ball hockey or hockey on the rink back in Edmonton.
Being the hero.
Just, for sure. Just making a big glove save or something. It was amazing.
We've got about 40 seconds left here. I just want to know how much pressure, and you guys have spoken to it a little bit, but how much pressure is there on this Winnipeg team? Just knowing how great that regular season was.
A lot.
There's a lot of pressure, but it's very individual. So Kyle Connor might not be feeling as much pressure as maybe like Morgan Barron, who's going to play a big role in this game. Kyle Connor's had a great season, 40 goals. He's got an NHL resume. It's all very individual. That's why it takes a really good coach to be on the ball and know who's a little nervous, who needs to be loosened up, and it's very individual.
Yes, that's right.
You have to embrace it.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, though, Elliot. That's
agree.
why when you talk about experience in Game 7s, it matters because learning how to control your emotions in the atmosphere so you play your best game.
And it's Scott Arniel's first game. So remember, he was just hired a year ago following up on Rick Bowness, and we're going to hear what the message that Scott Arniel's going to have for his team coming up. That's with Derek Lalonde as well. The whiteout, as you see, guys, in full effect on what is a beautiful night in Winnipeg. The anticipation is growing. We're going to keep breaking it down for you. Game 7 from Winnipeg is on deck.
It's where you stay in the know with Blue Jays insight and During Canadian summers, some things are only natural. Like a child insisting they didn't want mustard 3 seconds after asking you for mustard. These Canadian summer moments call for Maple Leaf's naturally delicious protein, using only real, simple, natural ingredients.
With innovative technology like Remote Smart Parking Assist, the Kia Niro EV offers a drive centered on you. Secure yours today.
Kia, movement that inspires.
This just in. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
That's correct. It's now even easier to create your own unique bet. You could choose any market, like hits, run line, totals, home runs. With our same game parlay, the choice is truly yours.
Download the app and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
The TD Grand Slam contest is back. Here's what's up for grabs this season. You could win premium tickets for 4 to 3 Blue Jays home games. Get decked out with a merch prize pack. And enjoy a 3-night hotel stay with spending money. Plus, an exclusive meet and greet with George Springer. Talk about a grand slam. To enter and for complete contest rules, head to bluejays.com/TD Grand Slam contest.
You killed my wife. You're not gonna get away with it. Get out of there now!
Ah, Chief, we're gonna take good care of your daughter.
This is on all of us now.
That's why I'm here, to find new answers to the unexplained.
The most dangerous place we've ever been.
Yeah! Jackpot, baby!
Only one act is going to walk out of here with $1 million. Go big or go home.
Here we go. We've been waiting for this. Wow! Big players and big moments. This is what the playoffs are all about. The spotlight shines brightest right here.
It's where saving the day
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
is routine.
And the Blue Jays win it.
Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays.
Hometown, all new Sunday night at 8 on HG.
Men's clothing provided by Jack Victor.
As the official fuel of the NHL, Esso is dedicated to Canada's game. Visit esso.ca/Stanley Cup for a chance to win one of 3 trips to a Stanley Cup final game. Time now for Line Change, presented by Sports Interaction, where every game is your game, no matter where your loyalty lies. Scan the QR code and bet local on the homegrown bet of the night. This is a pretty good one. If Connor can find the score sheet with a goal, Josh Morrissey a point, and the Jets win, plus 750. That's a pretty big payout. $20 would pay out $170. Let's welcome in Newsy, Derek Newsy Lalone. Listen, you've been there. You understand these situations. Scott Arniel, I imagine, is feeling a little bit of tension right now, but he wants to calm his team down. What's his message to the Jets?
Yeah, I said 48 hours. He's going to have what I think 3 big messages for his group. First and foremost, opportunity. Just to play in a Game 7 is a badge of honor. It's an opportunity, and they've earned this opportunity at home. They've won all year at home in this series. They'll do it again tonight. They'll embrace it. You relish in it. Game 7 isn't for everyone, but it's going to be for this group tonight. And then the last thing is going to be attack it. Be on your toes. You go get it. We be aggressive, and we execute. I've been in 4 Game 7s. 2011, USHL Championship. Winner take all, we won. 2015 against Spencer Carberry, Eastern Conference Game 7, East Coast Hockey League, lost in 3 overtimes. 2011 Tampa Bay Lightning, the Eastern Conference Final, we won 1-0. 2012 in Toronto, Game 7, Eastern Conference Quarterfinals, we won 2-1. 3 levels over 14 years, it was the same message. Opportunity, embrace it, attack it. Scott Arniel, you can hear him after Game 7, he was already building it. Our best players versus their best players, our grinders versus their grinders. Even yesterday's comment about being ready, the team readiness. I think he's done a good job all year. I think he's done a good job in the last 48 hours. I'm really confident he's going to have this group ready with that similar type of message.
You heard Kevin say opportunity. The
Absolutely.
same thing Alan
Attack
Vigneault
it.
was saying
Yes.
back in 2011. Let's talk a little X's and O's here. The Jets' power play. The expectation tonight, they were very good in Game 6 with 2 power play goals. What's your expectation? Because that could be the difference.
Great question. You go back in a winner-take-all on things you revert back to, you've been successful. Lowry talked about the DNA of his defense. Now the power play, number 1 in the league. First and foremost, you can see the box and one. Against this diamond look right here, you can see the box and one. They're trying to isolate the goal line D-man on a 2-on-1. And then a few seconds later, they get that look. You can see Kyle sneaks down the back door. You get the set box and one look here. If there's a 2-on-1, they almost execute. Later in the game they had 2 power play goals, same type of look. You're trying to isolate that net front D-man on the 2-on-1. He does it. Seems like a lucky goal, but he put him in a bad spot with the 2-on-1. The game winner last night, when they needed it most, in execution, there's the box and one. There's the 2-on-1 down low. We mix the back door, ends up in the back of the net. Revert back to what you're good at, the number 1 power play in the league, and their defensive DNA to be successful tonight.
Yeah, they're certainly going to miss Mark Scheifele, but some X's and O's could go a long way. And there it is. Thanks so much, Derek. We've got one game on Sportsnet tonight, and this is it. And you can bet on every game with Sports Interaction, Canada's homegrown sportsbook. And right now, the Jets, 3-0 at home, and the prohibitive favorite at -175. It's the second all-time Game 7 for this version of the Jets. Remember this one? Game 7, 2018, second round versus Nashville. 5-1 win, and I could tell you, maybe this is a good omen. Hellebuck was excellent in this game. 36 saves, the number 1 star, Paul Stastny, actually had the game-winning goal there for the Jets. Meanwhile, for the St. Louis Blues, and there's Hellebuck, and he was fantastic in that win. Their last Game 7 was a very memorable one as well. That was 2019, the Stanley Cup Final versus Boston. It was a 4-1 win. 4 players remain on from that team: Braden Shen, Sundqvist, Parayko, and yes, Jordan Binnington. And Binnington, a perfect 2-0 in Game 7s, completely unflappable, and was really the best player throughout the playoffs for St. Louis back in that year. Let's get you back out to Canada Life Center. Scott Oak with Braden Shen.
Braden, clearly the challenge for your team tonight is to take your home game and play it here at Canada Life Center. How do you do that?
Yeah, obviously it's a tough place to play. They play well here. But the best part about it is we haven't put together a full 60 here, and we know that in our rooms. So it's going to take everyone tonight, but, it's just keeping things simple. You can't turn over pucks. You can't feed into their transition, and, you got to get to the front of the net.
Jordan Binnington is a big-time player. What's it mean to the Blues to have a proven entity in your net in a Game 7? Presence just calms the room down. You can just tell by his demeanor all day today. So, he enjoys challenges like this, and when your goalie enjoys them, I think the rest of the room sees it and feeds off of it. Quickly, your parents are here tonight, right?
They are here.
Yeah, it was duly noted that when Jeff and Rita were not in St. Louis for Game 6, you and Braden got into a chirping session. Can we assume that with your parents here tonight, you'll be better behaved towards each other?
Oh, Mom's in the building tonight, so we better behave. We already got an earful, but no, honestly, that was obviously blown out of proportion. Nothing was set offside. It's just like I said, at the start of the series, we said we were going to compete for our teams and leave the brotherly love to the side, and we're doing that, and we're competing for the Stanley Cup.
Not the first time the brothers went at it, I'm sure. Thanks, Braden.
Yeah, thank you.
That is a great storyline. Shen versus Shen. They both have Stanley Cups, so they're winners regardless. You guys talked about the experience, and you just heard Derek talk about his experience, the 4th time probably easier than the first time in a Game 7. Here are the guys who've had the multiple, or at least the most Game 7s on these two teams. How much of a factor, if any, is this going to play today?
Well, like what we said, it will play a factor in the sense that it gives you confidence to know how do you handle all the distractions, the atmosphere, and everything. I don't know about you, Cal, but I felt like I got better the more Game 7s I played for that reason. Like, I could control more of the uncontrollable, you know what I mean, if that makes any sense?
Yes, and the highs and lows for me as a goaltender, because my last 2 Game 7s, I gave up, we were winning in both of them. I gave up a goal in the second period versus the Oilers. We were up 3-2, and I gave up a goal. We still won that game. And I gave up a 2-goal lead in my last one versus Toronto in '93. And so to find a way to struggle through that and get through it was important.
All right, again, this is the drama. This is the purest form of sport. We're excited about this. It's Game 7 in Winnipeg for the first time in almost 50 years. Puck drop is coming up on deck as we get set. And yes, it's win or go home for the Blues or the Jets tonight on Sportsnet.